Okay, look. It's been a minute since I've uploaded. I can explain. Alright, so story time real quick. My family went to the beach, and I was being a good boy, you know, I put on my sunscreen and everything, but it didn't work. It's a scam. Sunscreen's a scam, and I'm not backing down from that. So then I came home, back home, and I had a sunburn. And it was pretty bad. And it was like in my like shoulders and neck area and like on my arms mainly. And so I came home and I was working on a video, but when I tried to draw, I'm not just being a wimp, it was very, very hard to draw, okay? I normally use like my shoulders and stuff when I'm drawing, the thing I was drawing was like a sketch, and when I'm sketching I'm normally using my shoulders. Long story short, it was very hard for me to draw, and you know, that kind of just spiraled into like the video just took forever to actually make, and then I didn't make the video, and now I'm making this video, and it's taken a while, so I'm sorry about that. Alright, I want to make actually good artwork for you guys, and that just wasn't turning out good because I was in pain the whole time. So without any further ado, let's move on with the video. Cheap versus expensive. Which one is better? Because sometimes the expensive ones are just ripping you off and the cheap one is actually good. So I'm planning on making kind of like a series on this channel. It's gotten too bright now. What's going on, son? So as I was saying, I'm planning on making like a series on this channel of like cheap versus expensive art supplies, because sometimes you're actually getting ripped off. So if you want to buy any art supplies for yourself and you don't know if you should buy the cheap ones or the expensive ones, I am here to help you find out which one's actually good, or if you should just buy the cheap one at the end of the day, because they're both basically the same thing. Or maybe the expensive ones are actually the better one. Who knows? We're gonna find out, and today we're doing it with iconic Copic markers. If you watch my channel for a while, you would know I talk a lot about the sun is literally on drugs. If you watch my channel a lot, you would know that I talk a lot about Copic markers. I really like them. They're kind of like my go-to for when I'm coloring in stuff. And so there's a big difference between Copic sketches and Copic ciaos. Here is the 6-pack of Copic sketches that you can get on Amazon, just regular skin tones 6-pack. And here is the exact same thing, exact same tones, but for Copic ciaos. So as you can see, the ciaos are only like $23 and the Copic sketches are $30, despite the fact that it's literally the exact same thing. So this means Copic sketches, or for every individual marker in the Copic sketches, is about like roughly $5 each, and for every individual marker for a Copic ciao is roughly like a little more than $3 each, which really adds up once you get in some bigger packs. Like this 72 pack here is and here is the exact same thing. It's a 72 pack of Copic ciaos, the exact same colors and everything, except it's $245. That's a pretty big difference. Both are very outrageous, and I wouldn't recommend paying that much money for one pack of markers. You can do perfectly fine with like smaller packs. So here is a pack that I have of Copic sketches, as you can see here, and here is a pack of Copic ciaos. As you can see, there's a lot more of the ciaos that I have than the sketches because these are way cheaper. So it makes you think the Copic sketches must be way better if they're going to be that much more expensive than the Copic ciaos. Well, as someone who has used both of them, I honestly can't tell the difference. But today I'm going to be putting both of these to the test and really like focusing on if there is a difference. I've never really done those before, so I think it's going to be interesting to see if we're all just getting scammed or if Copic sketches are actually much better. If you go on to enjoy this, make sure to smash that subscribe button and like the video, and also comment down below if you want me to continue doing this series. But yeah, let's move on with seeing which one of these is actually better, or if we're just getting ripped off. So, before we begin, I would like to say that there are a few problems with both of these markers. Not actually problems with the markers themselves, but a problem that I have. So I have not bought a lot of these markers because I don't color in a lot. If you watch my channel, you would know I mainly just do black and white pictures. But so yeah, I don't buy a lot of these markers, meaning a lot of them, well, for the Copic ciaos, they didn't really, or the gray I was using, conveniently gray, which you use a lot when coloring in Batman. I didn't have, I only had like one gray that really worked, and it was really low on ink. So you can see later on in this drawing, it really starts running out of ink really fast. So that's I'm trying not to include that as how I rank this picture or how I rank these markers, but that did happen. So I had to use a darker gray, as you can see here. But let's talk about the markers themselves. They were kind of had a rough texture to them, which I like, but I know a lot of people don't like that. And I mean, at the end of the day, all this like art supplies and stuff, it comes down to what you prefer. And you know, a lot of people, most people don't prefer the kind of texture that the Copic ciaos give. Most people like what the Copic sketches have, but I'm just ranking these based off of what I thought and what most people would probably think, or what I've heard a lot of people think. But yeah, I actually kind of like these. The blending was a little bit rough. I really had to work hard to get the blending to work or actually look good, and even still, the blending in this picture really didn't look that great. So they weren't amazing, but I mean, like, considering markers in general, these are actually pretty good markers. So at the end of the day, I have to give them a 6 out of 10. So for this picture, I drew Superman because, you know, Batman and Superman, they go together. So this picture, I went for something more like bigger than the Batman picture, and it didn't really end up looking as how good I wanted it to. That's what it looked like. You know, it could be worse, definitely, but it's not quite as good as I would like it to be. But this isn't about the picture itself, it's about the markers. And let me tell you, the Copic sketches definitely should be more expensive. They were a lot easier to use, they just felt a lot nicer, and they have bigger ink cartridges, so like you can use one particular marker for longer than you can use a particular marker for the Copic ciaos, because it will have more ink, which is nice. And also, a big plus for Copic sketches that Copic ciaos did not have is for the reds here, I only had one shade of red. I didn't have, and it was kind of a shade, like kind of an off shade, because Superman has a little bit of a darker red. I kind of had a light red, but in the areas that I wanted to be darker, I didn't have to have a light red and a dark red to make lighter and darker values. I could just use that one tone of red that I had, and I could be a little more heavy-handed in the darker, or the places that I wanted to be darker, and that made it a darker tone. And then in the areas I wanted it to be lighter, I would just kind of color it in lighter, and it would make it look lighter. I don't really know how to explain it, but I think you'll see it later on. So the light source is coming from the right side, so all the areas on the left side I'll make darker. So you can see here with this foot, I just used this one marker here. I didn't use two markers to make different tones, but as you can see, there are different tones in there. There's a lighter and there's a darker, which is really cool. That Copic ciaos do not have that. But at the end of the day, they are very similar, so I ended up giving this picture an 8 out of 10. Alright, so what did we learn today? That I need to buy more markers. But other than that, we learned that Copic ciaos and Copic sketches are really similar and practically the same thing. Copic sketches are a little bit better because of all the reasons I was talking about while drawing those pictures, but really they're kind of close. But if we look at these two pictures, I mean, there's not too much of a difference. So for most people, as I said, Copic sketches would be better, but art is in the eye of the beholder. So it's whatever. You can't rank an art supply or material because anyone could like it or whatever. But the Copic sketches are better, just a little bit. But when you consider the price of the two, like just buy the Copic ciaos. Like, it's not that big of a deal. They're not quite as good, but they're so much more affordable, and they still are good markers compared to some other markers out there. So I mean, if you have a lot of money to just buy whatever you want, get the sketches. But if you don't really want to waste a lot of your money, then I would recommend getting the ciaos. But yeah, that's my opinion, of course. You can try both of them out for yourself, or you can just listen to me, because I know everything. I am big brain. But with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you liked it, and comment down below if you want me to do more videos like this. But that's all for today's video. Stay artsy. Sure, goodbye.